Fortunately, I went through a traumatic experience and I just developed an eating disorder, and I just needed to find something that fitted my values, and it was Man v Fat, and since then I haven't looked back.
Welcome back to Lose to Win the podcast with myself, Jack, and Ben. How are we doing, Ben?
Good evening, buddy. Very well, mate. How are you?
Yes, I'm all good, mate. Sat up in a hotel in London, spending my evening chatting away with you.
Well, I'm sure there's much better things you'd rather be doing in a hotel in London. But we don't need to go into that right now.
I don't be watching crap TV, to be honest. Celebrity Big Brother or some shit like that would be on in the background.
Yeah,
so yeah,
fair.
I must point out there is somebody missing. Unfortunately, Josh can't be with us this evening, so he has prior arrangements. So it's yourself and I, and we do have a special guest, but we're going to do it a little bit different this week. We're going to dive straight into the Man v Fat Bournemouth roundup, and then we're going to introduce our guest. So we're going to tease you a little bit, but a very special guest has very kindly joined us and is waiting in the wings. So if you want to crack on, Ben, we'll dive straight
into the roundup.
Let's do it.
So Josh would normally do this, and of course he's divulged many times that these are actually the words of Steve. I might just elaborate a little bit, but we'll see how we go. Anyway, so Man v Fat roundup for last week. So football is a game of fine margins. The previous week, we hit the jackpot with a stunning 54.3 kilos loss, losing an entire Kylie in a single week, which was amazing. But this time round, though, we missed out on a repeat Kylie by just 4 kilos, shifting exactly 42 kgs across the club. But that is absolutely nothing to be downhearted about. Focus again on that headline, 42 kilograms lost. I mean, Incredible. That's nuts. That's completely crazy, right? I mean, that is actually the same weight as 2 SUV tyres, 8 gallons of paint, or indeed a baby calf. And we all know about baby calves, don't we, Jack?
Yes, we do, yeah.
And the problems you can have with baby calves.
Yeah.
And if you take the last 2 weeks as an aggregate score, we've achieved a double Kylie in the space of a fortnight, which is absolutely phenomenal. So a massive well done to everyone. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it, right? Two Kylies in a fortnight.
Absolutely. I bet he was well over the moon to see she was performing at the Brits this week as well. So it's a double whammy.
He loves a Kylie. I'm a bit concerned about his obsession with Kylie, to be fair. But
his measuring stick, we might have to get. I wonder if he's
about the same.
Or something, you know, where you can pay to have like a message from her. We definitely should get him a little Christmas present message from Kylie.
In all fairness, mate, he's about the same height as a Kylie, so yeah, that's probably why.
She's probably taller.
Oh dear. Anyway, so the results. So let's go through the results for last week. So Oranges had a decent win actually over the Yellows. They won 12-7 overall. Whites lost out to the Mighty Blues 9-12, which is a good win for us.
Close.
Yeah. Purples, another great victory for your lot, mate. 15-12 against the Reds. Good win for you boys. Yeah. And Greens, looks like Greens come back fighting. They had a 17-8 victory over the Blacks. So, in Steve's words, the leaders keep leading, with Purples and Oranges still tied at the top of the main league and the Scales League. And they play each other in a couple of weeks. So that could be interesting. And the Blues alone out in front at the top of the Pitch League. Again, 3 of the 4 matches were tight enough on the pitch to be decided by a single goal. And as I said, football is a game of fine margins. So true. Sometimes those margins are decided through strength in depth, something we definitely demonstrated last week. 55 players lost weight out of 69 weighing in. So, I mean, that's a bit bonkers as well. Fair play, lads. 3 of the non-losers were new players. So basically it makes it 55 out of 65. 55 out of 66 for those with the possibility of losing. So that's amazing, really. And welcome to the club, Chris and Ant, and welcome back to Sean. Nice to see you back, mate.
Well done, boys. Especially Sean. Welcome back, mate.
Yeah, really good to see him back. Perhaps the most impressive stat is that 22 players, a third of those on duty on Friday, lost 1 kilo or more. So, wow, that's quite impressive. Looks like everyone's really back on it this season, doesn't it? I think it looks like people want to finish this team rotation really strong in this third season.
Definitely, I think it's much like the Premier League. There's a few teams that can win it this time round, I reckon. I think there's
easy.
I've been talking amongst the purples, and we've been lucky enough to hit some milestones early, which has really helped.
Well, it's that start,
around.
isn't it? Gives you
Absolutely,
that start.
Yeah, it's the start. But then you start scratching around where you go, where's your next one going to come from? And you're trying to plan them out, and you're kind of chatting to each of them, saying how far off are you? What's your targets? And that's where it really kind of helps as a team player, but as well as a captain to get stuck into those things and kind of help them understand the value of what they're doing as well to the team result. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And it's working out if you're thinking about roughly how much you're losing, when you're gonna hit those targets, and when in the season it's quite likely. Yeah.
And we are blessed to have a little podcast derby this Friday night, aren't we?
Aren't we, mate? How about
you
that?
And I,
hey,
yes.
Super Blues versus the Purples, head to head. Ben and Jack, two good teams, two very good teams, both on the pitch and on weight loss. Blues have hit a bit of a, excuse the pun, but a purple patch when it comes to weight loss. Everyone seems to be in their stride. And this week's going to be an interesting week because it's the first week. It's week 4. So anyone who has a perfect weight loss through the week will get an extra goal in last man standing.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
So that could be a bit of a kicker because we don't actually have that many.
No. So we've got a few. I must admit we do have a few, but we also have a couple that have missed a couple of weeks. So the hat trick weeks are delayed as well. So we could,
of course,
add some of those, and then also whatever milestones we can conjure up. And I'm happy to be open and honest at the moment. We are a little unsure. There's no definites on anything. There's definites around people that are hitting their 4 consecutive weeks, and there's some definites around people hitting hat tricks. But anything else, it could be really tooth and nail. And it's the way we want it to be, isn't it? It's got to be a good, competitive, entertaining battle, and
it'll be a good game. We do normally have a good game, and they're normally quite close.
Definitely.
On the pitch, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we do it for, isn't it? These are the games that we look forward to, especially when it's as close as it potentially could be.
I don't mind losing, mate, as long as we don't lose by 1 goal. If we lose by 1 goal, I'll be really, really upset.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it? And then you realise that one person might not have sent tracking in or something.
2 or more, not a problem. Happy days. But 1 is a real kick in the balls.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've massively digressed there, anyway. Anyway, listen, I'll get back to this. We'll celebrate the big hitters later in Team of the Week. But to have so many people hitting the sweet spot between impressive and sustainable is perhaps the best news yet. And I totally agree with that. I think, the whole sustainable thing about, between sort of half a kilo and a kilo is really, really important. It's not just about the 2.5, 3 kilo losers. It's not about that. It's about people continuously losing a sustainable amount of weight, which generally speaking is considered to be between the sort of half kilo and 1 kilo rate. So fair play, lads. Well done. 22 is also the number of players earning a hat trick at the first opportunity. So fair play, lads. 16 and 14 respectively at this stage in the last 2 seasons. So that's pretty impressive. That's 22 people have hit, their hat trick in the first 3 weeks. Really good.
That's a maximum of 22 bonus goals potentially this week.
Last week,
this week coming for your 4 consecutive weeks of weight loss.
Yeah. So if all those 22 players hit weight loss this week, they'll all get an extra last man standing goal. So that's spread across. 8 of them are on your team, aren't
they? Potentially, yeah.
So that's going to be a massive kicker in our match. We've got 3 more milestone men as well. So 2 relative newcomers, Sam Troughton and Luke Hayter. One of the Hayter triplets make their first steps into the world of milestones, earning a 5% certificate. Well done, boys. That's amazing work. While the longer serving Tom Marks joins the elite 20% club. So well done, Tom. That's fantastic, mate. Tom has now lost a staggering 34.2 kilos since joining the club. That's been absolutely brilliant. Consistent week-on-week loser for some time. So well done, Tom. Outstanding work, buddy. Keep going.
Brilliant work.
Yeah, and a great marker on the road to his ultimate weight loss goals, a sign of how far he's come and an encouragement to all of us to keep focusing on the dozens of good choices that will get us all the way. Well done, Tom. You're an inspiration. Okay, so last man standings chipped away at the field. 7 players dropped out this week. 5 more survived, only at the expense of their grace week. So that leaves 46 players still fighting for their fighting their corner and hoping to score a goal by reaching the last 30. So this week, anyone with a 100% record, 4 weeks of losses, will score a bonus goal for their team, which, like we just talked about. And at present, there are 19 players with a chance of achieving that. So 19 of those, because some people already used their grace week, right?
Yes.
Those goals could be game changers, which we know. So you really don't want to be a £1 billion bottle job this week. Nice. So going on to the team of the week, then it's another strong team of the week, although not as strong as last time. That said, Steve would rather have 22 players losing a kilo or more than the previous week's 9 losing 2 kilos. Strength in depth again, and a sustainable high being achieved more widely. Sid Wolford's recovery from illness. Good to see you back, Sid.
Super Sid.
Yeah, good to see him back. Bless him. He's been injured for a while. It's helped him to lose a staggering 4.9 kilos to lose the team. To lead the team. While Liam Goodall lost 1.9 kilos, and he's the only player to retain his place in the team of the week from last week. Stuart Mishner is only his 3rd week at the club and makes his first appearance. So well done to you, Stuart.
Yeah.
So here's the full lineup. Sid lost 4.9. Well done, mate. Sam Troughton, 3.1. Great work. Scott, well done, lad. He's injured. 2.1 kilos.
Amazing from Scott,
so
by the way.
Well done, Scotty boy. Yeah. Fantastic. Stuart Mishner, as we said, 2.1 kilos. Great work, mate. Liam Goodall's there. Good old Liam, 1.9. Johnny rocked up with a 1.5 kilo loss. So well done, Johnny Stewart. And Phil Haley makes up the last one with another 1.5 kilos. So well done to you, Phil, as well. Brilliant. Fantastic. So another week, another huge step forward as a club. And more importantly, lots of realistic, repeatable steps forward by individuals to make up that collective stride. Let's all keep taking more of those as we close in on our respective goals. You've got this.
Yeah.
Well done, lads. Fantastic work. Really good start to the season. I've got to say, I genuinely think this is the best start to a season as regards of not only weight loss, but also competitiveness between all of the teams.
Yeah.
I think that the margins are really, really fine, which are sort of defining those games. I think you look at the game scores. They're really, really close, and on the pitch, definitely. You know, most games decided by a goal. So,
I think Steve and the chaps have certainly got their time cut out, and it's going to be difficult to match the level of evenness across the squads in terms of weight loss and playing ability when it comes to this next rotation. It's certainly going to be.
It's a tough one.
I don't envy them doing it. I'm sure that it's an enjoyable thing to do, but also very difficult to make sure you get it as fair and as right as possible. So yeah, it's watch this space. I know Steve was speaking about different ways and how Man v Fat suggests to do it, and then Steve has his own little quirks and things that he adds to do it to try and balance it out as much as possible. And I certainly trust that he's got the ability to do that, as the squads now show that it certainly does come across pretty fair across all boards and weight loss and playing ability, which is great.
Yeah, well, that's the key, isn't it? It's getting that kind of balance.
Absolutely.
And like he said, you know, he knows us all very well, and he knows the players, spends the time with the players, so he knows people. So yeah. Well, it's a way off. And there's a lot to happen between then and now. But I'm very much looking forward to Friday night, mate. I'm very, very much looking forward to our battle on the pitch.
Yes.
And hope you don't score too many bloody bonus goals.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. On a separate note, a message was sent out. This is solely for the Bournemouth lads. A message was sent out in the official chat this week about an end of season party gathering.
It's finally out there.
Whatever you want to call it, something that we've been conjuring up and planning for a little while. So if you haven't responded to the poll on the official chat, please do, because it really helps us work out. I think we're likely to do it regardless, but it helps us work out and plan effectively and make sure it's the best possible night.
Yeah. We kind of were basing it on numbers, weren't we? And we thought if we could get over sort of 60 heads, we could probably make it work. And I think we're close to that now. So yeah, lads, anyone who hasn't, please encourage your team to vote, and also, bring your other halves along by all means. That we want to welcome everybody in, and have a really
celebration
good night
of how well all of us have done together.
Yeah. So, and it'd be a good crack. Yeah. So fingers crossed, we'll get it sorted. So so watch this space on that one.
Excellent.
Right.
Moving on to our very patient guest who has been sat here listening to us blabble on. But admittedly, he sits and listens to us blabble on every week because he's admitted to be an avid listener and somebody that we are very thankful for. So this gentleman has been recommended to us by Steve. Of course, Steve's getting a lot of mentions tonight, isn't he?
Has been for my liking.
He's been recommended by Steve. He met Steve recently at the 10th anniversary event up in Westminster, I believe, and he comes highly recommended as somebody that we've should definitely get on the pod. And he was very quick to respond and offer his services. And here he is. So, Carl, welcome, mate. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm feeling very under pressure after that introduction. So
no pressure at all, mate.
I've got to say that roundup was brilliant. I was really intrigued by it, and I love the way you present it all. It's brilliant.
Appreciate that, mate. We can't take all the credit, as we say. Steve writes it, but Josh and Ben are very good at delivering it. I'm terribly dyslexic, and if I put under pressure and I start trying to read off a screen a script, I'd struggle. So I leave it to them, and they smash it every time. To be fair,
I'm in the same boat.
So Steve suggested we speak to you as a top contributor on the Man v Fat Facebook page, and as somebody that he met and spoke to us about being somebody that's won awards, which we'll come to shortly, on the annual Man v Fat Awards. So do you want to give us a rundown? So which club do you belong to, Carl?
I belong to the North Club of the Year 2021 Hull.
Amazing.
I've been there 18 months now. I've had a little stint before that, but we had lockdowns come, so I don't really count that bit. It's been. I'd guess I'd say I've had success other than weight loss with Man v Fat. It's transformed my life. It's opened a lot of opportunities for me. I never dreamed that I'd be on a podcast talking about my experiences. So it has been a very unusual experience for me personally.
Amazing. So in your time, what do your numbers look like?
Well, I've had a bit of a roller coaster really, because I started losing and I lost 4 stone, and then I had a really serious injury. I did my ankle ligaments, and I did it twice in the same year, so I was on crutches for most of the year. So my weight shot back up, and I've just got back down to that point. So now I'm in unknown territory.
Ooh, nice. So did you lose? So you lost did you lose a large amount before the COVID sort of break, or after?
No, this was after. Before COVID, I mean, about a decade ago, I'd lost 10 stone, and then
what?
Yeah, well, I was a big boy, but
Christ, mate, 10 stone, holy shit.
Yeah, I maintained it for a long time, and unfortunately I went through a traumatic experience, and I just gradually piled the weight on, developed an eating disorder, and I just needed to find something that fitted my values. And I was doing a lot of research, and then I discovered Man v Fat, and since then I haven't looked back.
Wow, fair play, mate. Are you able to elaborate on that, or is that too difficult for you to do?
No, not at all. I like to speak openly about it because I know there's a lot of men within the leagues that resonate with it, and I developed a really unhealthy habit with food, which I know a lot of people will understand. It was really severe and out of control. It started off as something called bulimia nervosa. So I was purging by exercise. So I was doing like 4 to 6 hours of exercise a day to burn off what I was eating.
Oh wow.
And then I got injured and I stopped, and it developed into binge eating disorder. And that's when the weight really piled on and I gained 10 stone.
Wow.
And then I found Man v Fat, and it's just transformed my life, transformed my attitude, and it's just really how I got asked the same question at Westminster, and how I described it was, I don't know if you've ever seen that artist picture where it's a man carving himself out of stone. For me, that's me. Man v Fat sort of helped me get myself out of myself again. I'm finding aspects of myself that I haven't seen for a long time.
Wow, mate. I mean, that's quite a lot to take in, to be fair. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
It's I think probably for the first time, I'm relatively speechless with it, mate. It's you're so honest and open with it as well, which is really important. And I know exactly the painting you mean, and it's to think about it, I think it's such a poignant kind of thought that's essentially what we're all doing, aren't we? We're all on that journey to try and do that. And generally, I'm sure you've seen it in your time as well. Sometimes people come to the league not realizing that's what they're doing or that's what they're looking for. They think it is football. They think it is just the football that they're there for. And then you start to realize what's behind it, and you start to do that self-love work, that self-understanding, a real journey. And it definitely sounds like a journey you've been on so far, and you continue to do so.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The reason I speak about it is because I'd hate for people to feel the way I used to. So I try to be as open as I can, because if I can change, then other people can change. I used to have an internal coach that was just constantly spewing self-hate. And now I speak kindly to myself. I'm still accountable. I have an accountable mindset, but I treat myself in a completely different way. And because of that, I've progressed, where self-hate holds you back. And a lot of lads I've noticed do experience that when they first join, and to see them actually start enjoying the process and starting loving themselves, it just is really empowering for them.
Yeah, totally. Did you kind of find that? Did you find that naturally through Man with Vat, or did you have a coach that particularly helped you through that sort of experience?
Both. There's one coach a facilitator that I've spoke to privately a lot, and he's somebody that probably withheld his thoughts and feelings on those kind of things, and it opened up. And I, I, I think it's like a domino effect. When you start speaking about these kind of things, other people do, and then they'll maybe speak to somebody else, and then it becomes normal to speak about it, and then people start looking into how to change it and go from there.
I think you're right. Yeah, definitely. I think you're right. The talking about it is kind of the first step, isn't it? And we've spoken before on this about how just by joining up to something like Man v Fat is a massive step for people, because it's kind of the ownership thing. It's owning the fact that you do have a problem and you're aware of it and you want to act on it. And that's the most important thing, that you're making that initial step to act on what you know fundamentally is wrong. And that's why we love the community that we have, and we love the relationships that we've built within that community, because we know that all the guys are kind of in the same boat. And I mean, sharing your experience is amazing, because I'm sure absolutely there'll be guys that are absolutely resonating with what you're saying about your kind of experiences and your journey, and hearing what you have to say is really important for them. So I just want to say thanks for coming on, mate, because it's an incredible story, and hearing your insight into what you've experienced, and hopefully will help these guys. And I just really appreciate it, mate.
Yeah,
Well, I'm taken back by your words because I really appreciate you giving me a chance to speak about those kind of things to help other people, because I think that's what Man v Fat for me is all about, is just elevating and encouraging everybody and everyone feeling better about themselves. So thank you.
Oh, pleasure,
Amazing.
mate.
In terms of your role within your club, so you're a player, but is there you seem like somebody that is really going to be approachable, and you have the opportunity to help others and share experience, share difficult times that you've had to help others open up. I must admit, I know many in our group that wouldn't be interested in opening up, or would take a lot to almost push to it, which makes them feel uncomfortable. And then there's others. It's a typical man thing to do, isn't it? It's we don't talk. We just kick lumps at each other on a football pitch and get angry and storm off. And we think, oh, they're over passionate, or there's something that nobody ever goes. Maybe there's something more behind that. Maybe there's something going on. And to be able to stand up, I think what my question is, without going off too far off track, is how do you see your role within your club?
I like to think of myself as somebody that people can maybe express themselves to, somebody that can approach and maybe talk about things where they perhaps might not feel comfortable sharing within a group just yet. I know I'm emphasizing on the mental health, but like I do the social media for them, and I think things like that just all blend into one thing, and it can help them just by maybe seeing a bit of content about mental health. I feel like my role is just to be somebody that can be approachable and just help people in general. I don't have a specific role. It's an hard question to answer. A very good question, but
are you the captain of your team? Are you the captain of your team, or are you the captain of your team?
This season, I am the captain. Yeah.
And what team? What's your team?
We're Unbelievable Jeff with a red team.
Amazing.
Nice.
Very good.
I love that. Well, we've certainly spoken before about how we feel that the mental health side of Man v Fat is equally as important as the weight loss, because we've all had teammates who have been on that journey and struggle with weight loss, and a very good friend of mine, in fact, someone who's just recently joined Man v Fat, one of the things that he always said was, you don't put a load of weight on because you're happy. And that's Sean. That's kind of his thing, and he is very much an advocate of that Man v Fat has helped his mental health. And I know for a fact there are many more, including myself, who thank Man v Fat and what happens at Man v Fat towards that. It gives you a purpose, it gives you a goal, it gives you comrades in kind of your quest, because a lot of us get to a certain point in life, and it goes back to the guys not being able to speak about stuff and struggling with words, and we get through life, and we have a family, we have work, we have all those things, and then it's trying to juggle it all, and it's trying to then find your place within that, because things change, and guys struggle and they don't talk. So that just to have that hour or two one night a week where you can just go and be with your mates, be with like-minded people, all trying to strive towards the same thing, and have a bit of a laugh and have a bit of banter and know that everyone's on the similar sort of journey, means the absolute world to a lot of people. And I for one, and Jack is as well, and a load of the guys are huge advocates of Man v Fat and what it's done for us. And part of the reason why we do what we do now, on the podcast and stuff, is pushing and encouraging guys in similar situations to come on and join in the thing. And the percentages and they speak for themselves. 90% of guys that do it lose weight, and I just still advocate that is not just about the weight loss. It's, I think, part of being able to do that and join that 90% to lose weight is because you feel comfortable and you're mentally supported within the group as well. Do you agree with that kind of thing? Is that where you're coming from?
Yeah, 100%. I always emphasise that Man v Fat isn't just football. It's not just weight loss. It is a community.
Mm,
It's a really diverse community. There's
yeah,
people from all walks of life, but when it comes to it, at the end of the day, we all connect and resonate with each other, and we all make friendships with people we probably would never have met in other circumstances. And
yeah, yeah,
sometimes that can be really empowering in itself.
yeah. You're
Absolutely.
absolutely right. Yeah.
Cole, talk to me about. I'll start again. When I was passed your information from Steve and said he suggested get in touch, I obviously went straight to your social media where you are very, very active, and I can't help but notice you've got a picture with your balls out, and one of the balls happens to be an egg-shaped ball, and the other happens to be a proper shaped ball, a football. So, talk to me about Man v Fat Rugby. What's going on there? What's your plan? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm sure you've heard through the grapevine. I just want to say for a minute there, I was panicking about what picture you was on about.
Which Facebook
I was
profile
thinking
did I
something
find?
really sinister there. And yeah, with the rugby, it's down on the grapevine. They announced it a few months ago in one of the emails. I'm hoping it comes to Hull. I really want to be involved in that. Rugby is something I've grown up with. I've played it at a decent level, and that's probably why I never found Man v Fat, to be honest, because I was looking for something with weight loss and rugby, and
Yeah, fair.
to know that there's something in the line on its way, it's really exciting for me personally. And I know in Hull it would thrive because there's a lot of guys who are perhaps in the same circumstances I was, that football just didn't really their go-to, but rugby's their thing, and I think it would really do well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it certainly can't get my words out. Definitely serves your demographic where you live very well. It's amazing that the northern to southern split. I reckon we had Ollie on a couple of weeks back. I don't know if you remember hearing about Ollie, and Ollie played rugby at a very high level. Was he semi-pro, Ben?
Different. No, you see now Carl's talking about rugby league, right? Because there's a lot of rugby league up in Hull. Ollie was definitely a rugby union player playing for Richmond.
Okay. I know that might upset a few if I get the two confused, so I won't.
Don't get them confused, mate.
I'll tread carefully, but in general, it's a different shaped ball.
Some of them play with. So. Okay, so Hull Leeds, all around that area. So then you've got St Helens, Wigan. Big rugby towns, right? Big rugby league, towns. Huddersfield, another one.
Yeah, that's correct.
So what's the format going to be then for the rugby one? Are you involved in that, or are you just hoping that it comes to you?
I'm just at the moment hoping it comes to me, but I did actually encounter the person who's getting it started, and he told me it was going to be a touch rugby format.
Nice.
Probably 6v6, and it's basically, if people have played rugby before, they'll know what touch rugby's like. I personally enjoyed it. I think every person who's ever played and trained with rugby, that's part of the training session they most enjoy. So I hope it can come off, because I think it's just another avenue for Man v Fat to thrive in.
Definitely. Less injuries as well.
So many doors for people that aren't football orientated at all. And I know that there are some that cross over, but I think by the sounds of it, with yourself playing at a high level, it's normally either or, isn't it? When at school you're a rugby or you're a footballer, do you know what I mean? And that's if there's something that can suit everyone, that's even better. So that's amazing. That's awesome. One other question I've got. Go on.
No, sorry, I was just you continue.
So the next question we've got is we mentioned earlier about the awards that you've won. So you've won the Media Mogul 2 years. Is it 2 years in a row or two separate years? What?
It's two separate years. I won it in 2021 for the previous year, and I won it last year.
Well done, mate.
Well, like I said, with my Man v Fat journey, I actually only had a month and a half just before the lockdowns, but that was enough for me to start advocating for it because I felt inspired. And I did a lot of promotional work for Hull, and people at HQ often would get in contact and say, keep going, keep doing the work. And
Brilliant. Was that through lockdown, was it? Is that when you were doing that sort of promo stuff?
Yeah, I was doing a lot of it through lockdown. So when I got announced for the nomination, I was really surprised. I was even more surprised last year, though. I didn't expect it at all.
No, that's
but yeah, it was a really
mate.
big honour.
What bits have you done, do you think, stood out to the people that nominated you for that award?
I do a lot of content where I'm trying to encourage people to join, but I think what stood out, you know James Stanford, don't you?
Yes.
Stanley. Yeah. I think he pointed out in Westminster that it was the comedy style type of content that really stood out to people like that, because it was just caught their attention, and because it caught their attention, they looked further into it and just got curious about Man v Fat and maybe joined.
Brilliant.
That makes you probably hear in the background, I'm just scrolling. I'm trying to keep it quiet, but I'm just scrolling through it, all the stuff that you've done. What we'll do is I'll share it with our group in particular, who the majority of our listeners are from, for them to check it out. I love all of the graphics with the kind of week by week graphics for yourself in terms of your hat tricks, your weights, your football stats. I love the stats that you're covering, how much distance you've done. There's so much, mate. It's so impressive. I've got to mute it because it's going to keep playing in the background if I don't. It says
we need to boost your followers, mate.
I think he's doing amazingly well, but it's definitely
get your hashtags.
It's definitely something we all can take a little bit from. And I think Dan in our group, who runs the pool league, he's massive on his social media side of things. And that really makes a difference, and something I wish I had the time to commit to do for Bournemouth as well. Mate, it's so impressive, and I think I'm so glad Steve did mention to get you on, because it's opened up. When I hear stories like this, it opens up my thought process, and I start going down a bit of a rabbit hole, thinking, what can we do? How can we do that? What can we do to help? And I think the promoting of it is huge, and I think you've done an amazing job, and I can see why you're being recognised by Man v Fat and people like Steve that have met you and come away and been inspired about how you've done and what you've done. So I guess one other question I've got for you is, looking forward, what does personally for you, what does the next, let's say, 2 years look like? Where do you want to be? What's your goal? Where do you think you're going to be? And then in terms of what you're doing to support Man v Fat and everything else, what does that look like?
Firstly, thank you. That was really kind. And Steve was a really, really inspirational bloke himself. It was a real big honour to meet, and I'm glad that I actually got to speak to him for quite a while. And we both got to sneak in on the stairs at the Houses of Parliament and got in trouble from the security for taking a picture. So that was really nice of him. In terms of me in the next 2 years, I just want to continue promoting it, continue meeting all these really inspirational people. It's open. I never thought in a million years I'd be stood at Westminster giving a public talk. It's just opened so many doors for me. And my main priority right now is my weight loss, because I'm nearly 37 and I've got a lot of things I want to achieve in the next year or two. So I'd love to be more officially involved with Man v Fat. But yeah, I'm happy to continue doing what I'm doing right now. And hopefully the rugby comes into play.
So getting a bit more personal, maybe. So from your weight loss journey yourself, I know you lost sort of 10 stone. Where did you start? Where was the kind of the worst point, and what's the best point? Talk about the journey that you've been on from that kind of point of view.
The 10 stone wasn't with Man v Fat.
No.
I've lost 4.5 stone with Man v Fat, and I think the worst point was just in lockdown, if I'm honest, because I'd already gone on a spiral with my eating disorder and the other things, and I think when I got into that much isolation, it was like a now or never moment. I either continue eating and feeling this way about myself, and maybe in a few years, truthfully speaking, I won't be here because I'll either kill myself with my habits. Not, I don't mean like suicide, but I did have dark thoughts as well, and I just thought it needs to change. The weight loss, like I say, it's just made me again. I want myself. I was constantly, my mind was constantly hazy. So losing the weight, I do think helps with that kind of thing. Just your overall mental health just feels like it's more clear and transparent. So yeah, health wise is my priority.
And where do you feel like you need to get to feel?
Oh, sorry. I'd like to lose another 4.5 stone.
Wow.
I used to be really athletic, and I just want to get into that kind of mindset again, where I'm able to compete at things. I want to maybe get involved with boxing again and just be more me, just be able to do things that I haven't been able to do because of my weight, even just down to things like wearing nice clothes and just feeling all around good about myself.
Well, mate, you're doing a fantastic job of it. So long may it continue, mate.
Thank you. Absolutely. You mentioned about the learning to not hate yourself and almost go as far as saying to love yourself, if that makes sense. And I think you set some very realistic goals and something you're clearly capable of doing, and that's so important behind it, isn't it? I think, and I've been guilty of doing it, is looking at others and going, oh, doesn't seem to be doing the same for me. Why is it not happening the same for me? All of us are on a different journey. All of us have to accept that journey is going to be different, and there'll be others that, much like me, that could look at a cake across the table and it put on the weight, and others that can get away with having it and doing that. And that's something I've got to accept, and that's something, it's about understanding, and that's, again, your self journey and your self understanding is so important behind it. And you're super screwed on, mate. What I'd love to do is hopefully meet you in person if you're going to be about at some of the events that I think you're likely to be, and we are too, but also get you on in 6 months' time and say, what does it look like now? How do you feel now? What you're doing now? And because without blowing too much smoke up your ass, I'm sat here now super inspired by how and what you've done and how you've come across to us. And I think geographically we couldn't be too much further apart, but in terms of kind of getting you, and I joke, we've got one Scottish fellow who's mentioned a moment ago that recently joined. He's our
Is he the only one? Is he the only one?
He's our resident sweaty, isn't he? And then we've got Tim, who's
got a few
from the northeast. I think there might be a few others it might be, but I think there's definitely a difference in terms of the way that, when I've spoken to people from Man v Fat, the north and south divide is definitely there in terms of a mindset and mentality with it. And we might be southern softies, but I can guarantee we don't talk as much with each other as you guys seem to. No. So I think there's an honesty. I know a couple of rugby lads that they just are so honest and open. Also absolute fun time guys that will do anything at any point, and rugby players know how to have a good time. But also, I get that feeling with you that you're able to then be honest with yourself and be honest with other people, where I think we might be a bit more stuffy, if that makes sense. I don't want to regionalize ourselves too much, but that's how it comes across. And it's amazing to know that it's so much more than just our little bubble, isn't it, Ben? There's so much more outside of our tiny little piece of Man v Fat on the south coast, if that makes sense. Trying to really.
I think we're relatively young now, aren't we? I mean, Bournemouth Club's only been going for 3.5 years, and Man v Fat's now in its 10th. It's just had its 10th anniversary. So, and I'm guessing Hull was probably one of the earlier clubs, wasn't it? How long has that club been going?
Yeah, I think it's been going since 2016, because we've still got a few of the OGs there.
Wow.
A few of the original members, and do you know, they're really iconic amongst everybody.
I bet they are.
Talk just the way I do, and they're so diverse in who they are. Like, some of them are a lot older, some of them are young, like, well, my age, and it's just brilliant to have those kind of people there that have been there a long time and have lost a lot of weight, and they continue to, encourage and support everybody else.
Yeah, fantastic. 8 years, man. Yeah, so one of the earlier clubs. Just goes to show, doesn't it? Well, see. Well, I mean, talking about our club a little bit, we've only this is what, the second. So we're only into the second season of expanding to 8 teams.
Yeah.
So it's kind of new for us. But Paul is still only at 6, isn't it? But Bournemouth started, then Paul started a couple of seasons later, so it expanded quite quickly. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if another one pops up relatively soon, because our catchment area is quite dense. That we do have one in Southampton as well, don't we? And there's one
Southampton,
in
Eastleigh.
So maybe inland a little bit, one might pop up. I don't know. I don't quite know geographically where, but it certainly feels to me
like Salisbury, Winchester.
Yeah, and I was thinking that sort of area.
Maybe a bit. Winchester might be a bit far, but then we've got. I think there's 2 clubs on the Isle of Wight. I think there was only one at one point, and a second club has just opened on the Isle of Wight. So we're certainly planning a 11's trip across in the summer.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Because we got guys like in your team, haven't we? We've got guys travelling down from Shaftesbury, which is a good sort of 45-minute, 50-minute drive.
Oh yeah, it's almost an hour. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, you're right. That's a fair whack on a Friday night, isn't it?
So have you got a lot of clubs sort of condensed into a smallish area where you are, mate, or is it all spread out a little bit?
We've got clubs that are about 60 miles away. We've got Scunthorpe.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure about Grimsby. I think they're trying to get that going again. But Scunthorpe's just been taken over by our former facilitator, Dave Bell. And that's really thriving and growing right now. He's doing an amazing job with a lot of the losses. And he's only been there, 6 months? And he's getting a lot of success.
Right. So you think the rugby thing
growing?
So if once they start the rugby thing and they trial that, and that would probably be quite a good shout in your area. I'm guessing you could line it up. Can you line them up sort of hand in hand? If you've got a Man v Fat football club going, you could basically twin it with a rugby club and then sort of attach it on.
I would love to do that. I actually said the same thing to one of our current facilitators. I reckon it could.
Yeah.
Hull's a rugby city. A lot of guys might disagree with me on that from the Man v Fat, but Hull is a rugby city. We've got 2 professional teams that are adamant rivals, and there's a lot of people from both sides that would love to be involved. They are getting involved with like the Masters rugby and things like that, but they're, a lot of them just go to train and then they don't want to play the actual game, so they're only going for the touch rugby. And it's those type of people that might actually transition to Man v Fat, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I'm just doing a little Google for to see. I presume somebody will have probably HQ. We've got a fancy map showing where each of the clubs are pinpointed on the map. Yeah. But there's a few like regionalised one I've managed to come across, like a Norfolk one, Northamptonshire one. I think they've got 4 clubs in there, 4 clubs in Norfolk. It's amazing, really, isn't it? I think the numbers that Steve spoke about last week of 400 odd clubs across the country, which is just insane, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is an untapped market potentially. If you think at least half of you are going to be wanting to chase an egg around a pitch, aren't you? So it's So I got to be careful what I say.
You have to be very careful.
I'm too soft. I'm too soft to play rugby. I get hurt too easy.
You won't even head the ball, mate. You won't even head a round ball.
Right. You're right. And I just think there's an untapped market for it, and I can't wait to see that expand. It'll definitely be something I won't partake in, but I'll be sure to watch.
I think there'll be other things in the horizon as well. I think there'll be more things coming as well, not just rugby. I think down the line, because Man v Fat is actually thriving in every single area almost with people that are losing weight, I think they've got potential to do a lot more different sports and
I agree.
venture
I
out into
agree.
something bigger.
Yeah, we've
could
talked
easily do
about
it,
a
couldn't you?
few, and there's definitely formats you could come up with. Tennis is one, although that's kind of one-on-one. So and same with golf. I mean, we have our own little golf society
It's more
that we've.
seasonal, though, isn't it?
It's very seasonal. It's it's individual, so it's more the team sports you want to look at. But there's no reason why you couldn't do things like hockey or basketball
Netball for the girls.
Yeah, we talked recently about the whole man v fat over and getting women involved or having a women's league, and I can see both angles on it, and I kind of totally understand that when it comes to men's mental health and the way that men react around the whole weight loss thing, and the fact that there is a higher, but the most percentage of weight loss programs are aimed at women, and which is why I think Man Be Fat works so well within the kind of male community or male identifying community, however you want to look at it. And I'm kind of torn between the two, because I do think, in a more inclusive society, we should incorporate women, because there are plenty of women out there who don't want to go to the traditional women weight loss. It doesn't work for them, and there should be something else for them. And I think ultimately down the line it will come. But I think there is definitely something to be said about guys don't talk, and guys' mental health, and the way that guys react with guys is different. And it's important to give them that platform to do it, because I think as soon as you kind of dilute that and make it a little bit more gender neutral, there are guys that won't sign up because of that, because they don't feel comfortable doing that.
I agree.
So I can see kind of both arguments for sort of for and against. But I think they will find a way. I think there will be a way of doing it and bringing the kind of female gender into the format. I'm not quite sure that it's been quite worked out how that would happen yet. But I still maintain
the women's game thriving and improving all the time. I went. It was a little bit off topic, but I went to the women's North London derby with my daughter to go there for her first game at the Emirates, watching Arsenal play. 60,000 people there turning up. More turned up to that than turned up to Manchester City against Man United, totally. which is mental. And I heard on the radio today, Ian Wright did a speech. He was asked, he's kind of doing like a dinner speech in the Diamond Club thing, and somebody asked, like, where do you see women's football? How do you see it? And I didn't realise that women's football was super prevalent at the same time as men's football really blew up.
Mate. Yeah.
And then women were banned. Were playing that's it. Banned from playing football for 50 years.
Yeah.
Because they were starting to compete with the men and starting to take the men's spectators away from the men's game into the women's game. Yeah. And you've got to understand that where things are now, and you've got fucking trident dickheads like Jerry Barton piping up and talking bollocks whenever he gets an opportunity to, and say negative things about women being involved with the men's game, is that you stop anything for 50 years, stop any sport of anything, and then try and compare it to the other. It's not going to happen. Absolutely. But I think where I see it is that you're on the cusp of an explosion. And if it hasn't already, I think that the spark has the fuse has definitely been lit, I should say, by the women's doing so well in the Euros and winning that tournament, that 60,000 people are going to turn up to Arsenal on a Sunday afternoon and support them and get right behind them. Yeah. And what was the most amazing thing about it, we've spoken about it before, I love live football. I go to a live match every day if I could, but I'm not entirely sure I'd want to take my daughter to Bournemouth's fine, because Bournemouth is Bournemouth. Do you know what I mean? But there's some places you just wouldn't want to take them. No disrespect to Millwall, but would you take them to Millwall on a Tuesday night? QPR versus Millwall on a Tuesday night?
No, I wouldn't.
Would you take a 9-year-old daughter to that? I'm not entirely sure I would. And the way that it was all done, it was so well done. It was so, again, that inclusiveness in mind, like catering for everyone. They had like live music going on the outside, a little bit American-y kind of vibe, but I don't mind that. And then the hype before, and like talking to the players, introducing you to the players, understanding that it's a new audience, so kind of introducing you to what to expect, what to do, things like that. It was just amazing, and just such a fulfilling, enjoyable experience that I think if everybody can catch up and understand that this is not going to be stopped, they ain't going to be banned again. It's an absolute monster rolling down the hill, gathering so much pace that getting behind it now, don't get behind it now is do it at your peril. Really, I think it's so much.
I think you'll find most of the sort of general public and the sort of normal minded people within football are totally open and absolutely embracing it. It's the kind of the traditionalists, the
sensationalists as well.
Yeah, the
people
old
looking for those headlines.
Yeah, generation of people who can't go, that absolutely it shouldn't be the case. But thankfully, those kind of people are sort of slowly dying off or becoming disinterested. So thankfully, the tide is turning and times are changing, and people can appreciate now that actually it is a game for everybody. So let's just deal with it that way. Okay, it's not necessarily the same game, and I don't think anyone's ever saying that it should be. I think, but there is absolutely a place for both formats, and there should be. There's absolutely no reason why there shouldn't be. So for me, I'm just looking forward to there being a men's international netball team, because I think that's what the world is missing.
Are you going to be goal? Is it goal attendant?
I used to be quite good at netball, funnily enough.
I remember doing it at school, and actually, it was kind of a gateway into wanting to play basketball.
Exactly.
Play basketball a lot.
Exactly.
But yeah, we do it. I obviously run my or help run my lads' football team, and that's one of the key games that we play to get them to understand the movement and being able to do the pass and move, not traveling with the ball and thinking that you're going to run around everybody. It's the understanding of spatial awareness and being able to move. It's quite a complex, intelligent game. It's one of those games that you have to be on it to be good at it.
Yeah. I'm just really pleased that it's all starting to sort of line up and become, everything for everyone. I think that's the way the world should be. So yeah, we're going a bit deep here, aren't we? We're going deep.
Why not? I would pre-warning to anybody that was listening and hoping to listen to me rant and rave about how amazing Arsenal are and scoring another 6 goals. We're going to avoid that again. I don't know how you guys are getting away with not hearing that for almost three weeks now. But I think whilst we have Carl and his insight and understanding, and also what his achievements, I think it's well worth us chewing the fat, putting the world to rights a little bit with our thoughts and things. But I think I think that's where we are with it, isn't it? It's being able to let everybody enjoy themselves, everybody understand. And I think if you don't live in that world, give your head a wobble and get yourself into that world. And if you do, then keep doing it. Don't be ashamed of promoting men talking. Don't be ashamed of promoting what you're doing at Man v Fat. A couple of times when I've spoken to friends about doing Man v Fat, almost insulted us, that me suggesting that's what they should do. But there's more behind it, isn't it? It's understanding that, and I think promoting that the right way is the way to do it.
I think when you're in it, it's really easy to advocate it, because I do it all the time. Literally everyone I speak to, I say, this is what I'm doing. I say, and people ask me, I say, I'm playing football, and they ask, oh, how's football going? And then I explain the sort of football that we're doing, and they're going, oh, okay, that sounds really cool. That sounds like something that would work. But for me, it's kind of like, I don't understand why you don't know about that. Because, it's been such a game changer for me, as it has you, Jack, and a lot of other people. But I hope that, everywhere we go, and we are the ambassadors, ultimately, every member of their club is the ambassador for the Man v Fat format, and not just about the football, but also about how it helps you and changes you towards a healthier, happier lifestyle. And I can't, and we always say it, don't we? We don't understand how, people don't sort of instantly go, wow, this is amazing, because for everyone we speak to, they're all the same. So it's kind of a no-brainer, and long may it continue, I would say. And Carl, for you, the awards coming up, so this year, I'm assuming you're going to be there and you're going to be doing your sort of thing there. Is that the plan?
I'm hoping to attend it. I don't think I'd been nominated for anything or out like that. I think I'd just be there as a guest this year, but I enjoyed the last event so much that I'd just love to attend and meet everybody again. So
brilliant. So where do they hold it? Where tell us a bit about it. Where do they do it?
What's that? Sorry.
The awards. Where do they actually hold the award ceremony?
unfortunately, I couldn't go last year, but it was in the National Football Museum in Manchester.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
I've seen like all the videos and that, and I was watching it live from work, and it just looked amazing. Everybody was all dressed dapper and having a good time, meeting each other. And when I won the award, like to hear the crowd cheer for me,
Brilliant,
people that I
mate.
hadn't physically met before, was amazing.
And you couldn't go
Really
there.
good
You
feeling.
weren't there. You weren't actually there.
No, I
Oh,
got sent a
mate.
video by, yeah, I don't know if you've seen him, James V. Fat on the Instagram, but he sent me a few videos of people cheering for me, and it was just so overwhelming and just really nice because I just hadn't experienced that before. Like last time I was at a sporting event, I was getting booed by my opposite boxers crowd. So for me,
Oh,
that was
mate.
unusual.
You're into your boxing then, are you?
I like doing it. I don't really like watching it anymore. It's become a bit of a. I'm not really keen on the way it is anymore with all these YouTube boxers.
No, there's a certain level of
Yeah,
not appreciating it anymore. Absolutely. I'm lucky enough to be friends with a chap called Chris Billum Smith. You might have heard me mention him on here before. He's
Once
a
or
Bournemouth
twice.
lad. And he's now a world champion, which is unbelievable. He was able to win the world championship against Lawrence Okoli at AFC Bournemouth Stadium. And I think what I've learned is I enjoy watching him. I don't really enjoy watching much else. I think, like you say, with around the YouTuber stuff, and I've got a 11-year-old son that's YouTuber obsessed. Like he tells me all about all of them and all of this sort of thing. And thankfully, he's not come down going, "Oh, can we pay 30 quid to go and watch KSI fight his way out of a paper bag?" Do you know what I mean? He's not at that stage yet. I think he's just holding out for the highlights the day after, which is fine by me.
Yeah.
It's very different, and also then if you're looking at the heavyweight division, I think there's a lot of things I dislike around how they're able to dodge each other. I used to watch a lot of the UFC when Conor McGregor was prevalent in it, and what I liked about that is they didn't get a choice about who they fought. They were just matched up, and you fight who we say you're fighting. And I think the boxers, especially the heavyweights, are doing very well at dodging each other and pushing up that value of that fight even more so, just to eke every penny out of it. Where it's not necessarily about that, is it?
I used to watch UFC, and Brock Lesnar, he's the one that inspired me to lose my 10 stone in the first place.
Wow.
There's a training video of him, and I just used to watch it on repeat all the time, to the point where I used the background music for my fights when I started doing boxing. So
love that.
But it's just not the same anymore, though.
No.
But yeah, I agree with you completely. The way it was all matched up, it was brilliant. It was just, you're facing who you're facing, and that's it. Get on with it.
Yeah,
definitely. Was it white collar boxing you were doing, or was it kind of just amateur boxing?
Yeah, it was white collar boxing. I wish I'd have done boxing in my earlier years, because I fell in love with it. And I was quite good. But it's the same with the football with Man v Fat, really. I've fallen in love with playing football, and I've never really enjoyed playing football. So I don't think I'd have been Premiership style though back in the day. I might lie and tell people that, but
it's all right, mate.
Absolutely.
There's a few of us in that.
I've been to a few white collar events to support friends, and it's because it's so quick, and it's you haven't got a lot of time. It's the boxing etiquette kind of goes out the window, and it's just windmills and get as many punches in as you can, isn't it? I think it's actually more entertaining than the other stuff, to be honest, isn't it? It's almost like watching a scrap outside the pub.
Yeah, it really is. That's it. I took it too serious, to the point I was being too technical. I won all my fights by TKO, but I wanted to actually box.
Yeah,
and I didn't want them to end.
That's it. One of my mates said, we spend all this time being taught how to box in the gym, and it was amazing, but it was absolutely nothing like how we've sparred and how you'd expect somebody to do it, because the adrenaline just takes over both boxers.
Yeah.
and they just meet in the middle of the ring, just throwing arms and do whatever they can to get a punch in. Yeah, like I say, I actually found it hugely entertaining because it was just carnage, and especially when they had two rings side by side, so it's two fights going on at the same time. You just couldn't keep up with it all.
Ultra white collar boxing, was it?
Something like that. Yes,
yeah, the cancer research one.
Yes, I think it was. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so, amazing. Well, I think I've covered everything that I want to talk about, and especially the questions that I had planned for you, mate. And it's been super insightful and a real honour to have you on, and somebody that we like to consider part of the community now. And now that you've been on, we'll keep in touch and see how things are going. It's
yeah, definitely. And if
so
people want to follow you, mate, what are your sort of handles on your socials so that we can spread the word and get people following you?
Well, I'm mainly on Instagram. It's just Gareth, and I run the Man v Fat Hole one as well.
Cool. So hear that, boys.
Really, that's all I run.
Carl Gareth on Insta. We'll get you a few
share
followers,
it into
mate.
the group
and just
right
Man v
now.
Fat Hole.
Man v Fat Hole.
Adam. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Sorry, I'm a bit deaf in one ear, so it sometimes vibrates back to me.
Yeah, it's okay, mate. No problem at all. I'm just going to share it on our Man v Fat Bournemouth, and we'll be sharing it on the socials as well, mate. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been great, and yeah, keep doing the good things, mate. Keep fighting a good fight, and
mate.
You should be super proud of yourself.
I'm really genuinely honoured that you've asked me to come on, and I'm really appreciate the kind words. And likewise, you've been brilliant, and I'm really impressed with what you're doing. I wish we could get it going in Hull, because I think you've raised the bar. You've levelled up to everybody. So I can see, I can see you getting nominated, and I hope you do.
Oh, mate, that would be a nice thing. But we just, I think we're just quite happy just to sort of spread the word and try and enjoy what we do. What all of us do, and try and spread the bigger picture to more people and get more people involved and on the wagon with the rest of us. So for a healthier, fitter lifestyle all round. But mate, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute honour to meet you and talk to you, and who knows, maybe we might meet you in a few weeks' time. Be lovely to see you in person and have a catch up. Bless you, mate. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, mate.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in and listening. We'll be back next week. We are working on a Man v Fat Bournemouth guest to be joining us. Josh should be back. I can't see why he won't be. And have a great week, everybody. Keep going, Bournemouth lads. You're doing a smashing job. Let's keep smashing those Kylies out for Steve. And,
that sounds a bit wrong. That sounds definitely wrong. I don't want to hear about Steve smashing out a Kylie.
It's his problem, not mine, I promise.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I look forward to Friday, Jackie boy. We'll have a good game.
Yes, see you on a pitch,
good luck for the rest of the lads. Yeah. Cheers, boys.
Speak soon.
Bye-bye.